Wait, no,
She
hold
didn't
on,
want to do
hold
that. She
on,
sucked it
hold
up.
on a second. Let me take this. Let me change this perspective for you so you can understand. Okay, if
Understand
it
what?
was a no, if it was a
Got it.
first of all, you talk about how women ain't happy, and this could
She
be
said,
viewed as
first of
women ain't
all,
happy. Let me tell you something, okay, about men. If it was a woman who was president and it was a man who was first man and he was dealing with all the hatred and all the vitriol that Michelle had to deal with, he would have been and blew his damn
Here's
head
the
off.
thing. Welcome to the Crucial Combo Podcast. We got my peoples in the building. We got my twin. We got Savvy. I want to talk tonight about Michelle Obama and
Mm-hmm.
kind of her, I wouldn't say coming of age, her evolution to where she's at now. And I want to kind of start with the inauguration. Everybody knows, obviously, she didn't go to the inauguration. Now,
she gave 8 years to the American people
hmm
for her husband,
hmm
right? She did all the first lady obligations, more than our current first lady and past, because she's twice our first lady has done at all, ever. Okay. She did a lot for our
Fact.
country. So now that she is off duty, she is off duty. She's not off duty light. She's off duty, off duty. She is standing in her truth. She is putting up a boundary for
hmm
her own mental health,
hmm
and I'm here for it. Donald Trump has never been respectful to her.
hmm
He caused a lot of just animos and grief for her and her family. And
hmm
I mean, Barack is a politician. She's not. She's a woman. She's a black woman. She was the first lady. Now she is a regular citizen. And she said, I will not.
Okay. I
And
like
we
that.
all know as black women, when we say we will not, don't do it.
That's
So it
right.
was probably best for everyone that she did not go to the
Why be
inauguration.
phony?
Okay.
Why
Right?
put yourself in a
Why be
situation where
phony?
you might have to pop off? My husband not
Right.
president no more. Let me really tell
Exactly.
you how I feel.
Exactly. And I don't know anybody with the last name Trump that's ever showed any kind of respect or support for her. And for no reason. There have been no reason why they would need to be as divisive and disrespectful to her as they've been. They have no
Wait.
absolutely no reason for that.
It's before we go down that rabbit hole. Now, this how I was hoping to approach this was it's not so much about Donald Trump. I wanted to approach this because keep in mind, obviously Donald Trump has been president before. He um
Unfortunately.
was president right after Barack Obama, right? The first time, 45. So here's my thing. Here's my thing. The reason why I want to talk about this, I want to kind of approach this from the standpoint of man, woman, husband, wife, and the Obama legacy. So there's some things for me I was a little bit concerned about, right? So I want to play.
No, I'm
I'm,
I'm curious to find out what your
I'm looking at
concerns are.
Savita's face. I'm cracking up because her face,
She's ready for you.
she's
I'm
locked and loaded.
Elsie.
She's locked and loaded. All right. So let's get to it. I want to play this clip. I'm sure you guys already saw it, but I want to play this clip. I want to know what you feel about this clip. So for me, there were some things about this clip that I just felt like, I'm not quite comfortable with it. And let me before I even play it, I want to say that the Obamas what they meant to black people. I don't speak for all black people, but what they meant for black people. I remember when Barack won, and I remember, man, I dropped to my knees when he won because I just, for those of us who are black, man, I mean, we never thought we'd see a black president. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you, it just didn't seem possible. So to see a black president, to have a black president married to a black woman with black kids was a big deal. So For me, I feel like, obviously we know he was president through that time, 2008 to 2016, but after that, there's a legacy. And for me, let me play this clip. Let me see what y'all feel about this, if y'all feel anything.
As they make their way to the rotunda platform. Normally, this would be through the chute.
It's a great feeling to be introduced coming down that platform. I will tell you that. I'll also mention that.
And former President Barack Obama heading to the rotunda platform, not joined by Michelle Obama. She did not also come to Washington for the funeral of Jimmy Carter, just recently celebrating her birthday.
I was just gonna say Barack always looked good when he walked through. He still got that
The
swag. He walked
swag.
on through like, yeah, I'm here.
So that was
He
so
still got that swag.
so
Still got the
how
swag.
so what is the first thing that come to your mind? How do y'all feel about that?
I feel like we don't really know all the reasons why she didn't come, and I think that um, people make so many assumptions that she should have dropped everything that was going on in her life personally to be there. And for what? I understand that some of the previous uh, presidents and their wives were there. But that doesn't mean that she has to be there or she has some obligation to be there. We don't know what all was happening in her world that made her decide that this is not a good time for me to go to Washington, or I can't be there, or this is just not coinciding. And I don't think it's the whole world's business to know exactly or analyze exactly why she wasn't there. And even if she didn't come solely because she felt like, you know what, I cannot get behind this man and what he stands for, I don't want to show any sort of support toward him, that is her prerogative. And I think that
Well,
people just need to respect that and
I
let it
think that
be.
part is absolutely that part is absolutely okay. Um, I'll say what I think in a second too. I don't want to cut you off, but Vina, what's your first feeling about that, Savvy? What do you think when you see that?
I'm looking in that space and I'm seeing nothing that would even make Michelle feel comfortable going there. Okay, Hillary Clinton is not what was Bush's wife name? Was it Laura? Um, yeah, they're all different. And even though these women were first ladies, they were white women. This is a whole dynamic, a whole energy, right? And we can put on and tolerate for a certain amount of time, right? But as a black woman, that just didn't even look appealing to me, right? Barack's the politician. He lives for that. Let me turn it on. Let me do whatever. Let me finagle. Michelle's not even a peopler, right? She's become more of a people person, being in a limelight, but in our heart of hearts, she'd rather not, dot, dot, dot. And a lot of married couples, you got the yin yang, the one that's more sociable and more people oriented, and the other person that really rather be back in the cut. And I really feel like she'd rather be back in the cut. So she's being her true authentic self. Barack know who he married, and he know how much of a sacrifice it was for her to even agree for him to run for office, not once but two terms as a president, and even for his Senate run. So now she's living her, we're done with that, right? Let me go back into my comfortable cocoon. So I'm fine. Did I feel some kind of way seeing him walk up by himself? A little bit. It's like, oh, his wife is not there. A twinge of a snap of a moment. But ultimately, it gets to a point where you have to look out for this and this. And if going into that environment with around all those people was going to be unhealthy for her mental health, then sis, stay home. It's a moment in time. And I think that people are making it more than what it
Then
really
what it
needed to
is.
be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to make it more than what it is, cause it
I'm sure.
it was something. Okay. So I respect what you both said. I wanted to feel what the first thoughts to come to your mind, how you felt about it. And you guys are kind of coming at it from a place that's interesting. So, obviously you guys are talking about the environment, where she would have been being there. Now, so let me say this. Barack walking alone, the way I saw it as a man, and I don't know if it's a man woman thing because I'm sure that there's women who may feel like how I feel and men who may feel how y'all feel. So I felt like when I saw Barack walking by himself, I felt like it really stood out and it made it look like I know that she probably didn't want to be in that space and didn't want to go. And we can get into the reasons because she spoke about it recently on her podcast. But I think her not going showed a lack of solidarity for the Obama legacy, right? So going back to 2008 to me, and again, I'll preface this by saying that she doesn't owe anybody anything. I do understand that as an individual, you can do whatever you want. I do get it. But the thought to me is like, what does she owe the legacy of anything? You're the black first lady in the country's history. I mean, what her and Barack did is legendary, just to get where they got and what it meant for black people, men, women, children alike, for them to see someone that looked like them in the White House. I think there's a legacy there that's important. So I guess my thought is that is it where you personally now has she gotten to a place now personally where her own feelings is more important than the legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, how important is the legacy? When I see him walking alone, I thought about. I said, well, God knows, Laura Bush is not a politician, but she still walked out with her husband. Hillary Clinton, we all know everything she's been through. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would almost say to yourself, well, if anybody didn't show up, you might not have been surprised if Bill Clinton was walking by himself, but she was still there, So for me, I kind of looked and I said, well, I get the fact that she's an individual, but when it came to, and I'm gonna be candid about another part of how I felt like, and one of the reasons why I want to touch on this, I felt like for black men and black women, it kind of showed this level of non-solidarity, and I felt like it. I'm wondering, I'm wondering what underlying messages being sent for women. You know what I'm saying? If any, right? So I looked at it a little bit deeper from that point, and I said to myself, I said, "Wow, there's a legacy to be preserved. How important is that, or is it the hell with it now?" So, maybe she's gotten to a point now after being out of the White House since 2016 that she's evolving to a point where she's like, you know what, I really don't care about that. I'm I'm really focused on me. So, what do y'all think
The
about?
legacy is there. It don't matter what else they do right now. That legacy is there. He will always be the first black president. They will always be the first black family to be in the White House, not one but two terms with no scandals. The legacy is there. She don't have to do anything else, and that legacy will remain intact. Now, as far as with the black man woman dynamic, I mean, he stood loud and proud on his own and he was there holding it down. And that could be, in essence, a way of protecting her. Like, you know what, babe, stay home. We're good, which I'm sure he wasn't. He probably would have rather she was there.
Right.
I'm not
I
even
was
going to
gonna say like,
bullshit with that. But I mean, yeah, she's probably there to protect her legacy. I mean, her mental health. And the thing is, what did people say about Laura Bush?
what did they
And
say?
nobody would have
Horrible.
even talked about Hillary until she was running for office. But
Mhm.
these women, they're different. And for these white women who were first ladies, white women are protected always in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Black women is open season,
Well,
always,
people were
perpetually.
going hard on Trump's wife too. I mean, they were talking about her a lot too. So they not
I mean,
necessarily.
well, the fact that her coochie was on the internet, like, yeah, but the thing is, they went even harder for Michelle Obama, who's an educated woman. She wore her arms, woohoo,
But
controversy, right?
in
Or she
fairness,
touched the
though,
back of the Queen of England. Oh my God, she's so ghetto. She touched the Queen of England. Like, they came for Michelle. Michelle and Melania are two different women. Now, if you come for Melania, there's a lot of things to come for, right? She does not hold the level of education, the level of career,
Well, I
charisma.
agree with you there. I told you,
So I
you
mean,
ain't got to convince me of that. I agree there. But I think Michelle Obama, I mean, I would say relatively, she's fairly was is and was fairly popular, fair and liked. You know what I'm saying? So much so that people, people kind of wanted her to run instead
yeah.
of Kamala. They kind of felt like,
As
yo,
much
you
as
can
she
run.
was loved, she was also hated. And the negative was very bad. Like we know the good, but there's a lot of just horrible things said about her and done to her, even
Right,
within the communities they are moving within. So I mean
right.
that's tough, especially for someone who did not want that. She would have rather her husband not have been president. Some women are
Well,
here for it. I think
that's a
Laura
good
was
point.
here for it. Yeah, babe. Okay, let's fix your ties. You're gonna be president. I don't even know what was she a teacher before. What did
Well,
Laura Bush do? She was first lady. That was her. She lived for it, right?
well, I see. Here's the thing: you could be right, but you could be wrong on that point. So, if you're right, I got you. But there's a chance that I guess my thing is that did Laura Bush just say, you know what? The Bush legacy, I'm gonna ride. Even if I don't want to be there, I'm still gonna go and I'm just gonna represent with you and walk. So for me, I felt like Michelle Obama should have walked with Barack, regardless to anything, for it to stand up for the Obama legacy. I felt like she should have walked out there and said, I'm gonna represent with my
But
husband.
but I think that you're placing way too much weight on this inauguration and her presence there to you know to add or detract from their legacy. This was a small blip in time. This wasn't the end all be all. This wasn't the first inauguration.
Hmm.
Okay. The first inauguration, I understand you're handing the mantle over on to the next president, right?
Hmm.
But this was a whole separate thing. I don't think that she had the level of obligation to be there this time around as she did the first time around. It um what's her name? Mrs. Biden, I'll call her because I keep forgetting her name.
Jill.
Jill Biden.
Jill Biden had way more obligation to be there, which I'm sure she was,
Yes.
than Michelle Obama needed to be there. And I don't, and because, for one, the inauguration was an unpopular event, number
Well,
one.
you know what?
Wait,
I don't
hold
want
on.
twin.
It
I don't
was
want
an
to cut you off.
unpopular.
Just to clarity, just for clarity, I just want to let you can keep saying it, but just for clarity, my position isn't that she had an obligation to Donald Trump. My position is that
I
she had an
understand that.
obligation to Barack
For the
Obama. That's what I'm
legacy.
trying to say.
To the legacy.
Understand that. However, if they talked about it and we don't know what transpired between the two of them and they are okay, everybody else should be okay too. That's what I'm saying. And I don't think that it hurts their legacy at all that she didn't come to this inauguration. That
Well,
does not detract from any of the good, from their
It's
reputation, or
feeding
for
their
anything.
legacy. She
If
gave a speech of a lifetime at the DNC this past summer, a few months prior to the inauguration.
her not coming to this very unpopular and divisive event, because he put out a lot of hate, a lot of divisiveness, a lot of bullshit in order to get where he got. So now that he's there, okay, I don't think that she had any obligation to be there. If she had an obligation to Barack and they talked about that and they made a collective decision that nah, we ain't okay, babe, don't go, then that's the end of that.
I don't think that Michelle decided not to go to the inauguration because of Donald Trump. I don't think that was the main reason. Not so much that she didn't want to be around Donald Trump. I don't buy that. I think that she's decided. Now, what it looks like, let me play a clip of the podcast because we talked about it a little bit. She's not super specific, but it kind of gives you an idea as to where her head was at. So I'll play that real quick, and then we can expound on that.
I'm at this stage in life where I have to define my life on my terms for the first time. So, what are those terms? And going to therapy just to work all that out. Like, what happened that 8 years that we were in the White House? What did that do to me?
Yes.
Internally, my soul, we made it through. We got out alive. I hope we made the country proud. My girls, thank God, are whole. But what happened to me?
Right.
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 And going through therapy, is getting me to look at the fact that maybe finally I'm good enough. Right. And unlearning some of those messages that I've been saying to myself, and then trying to actively practice something different to rewire those neurons in my head that make me keep pushing and keep striving. And so practicing no in a very different way intentionally. But then this is what makes it hard because, my decision to skip the inauguration, what people don't realize, or my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart.
Right.
It's like, while I'm here really trying to own my life and intentionally practice making the choice that was right for me, and it took everything in my power to not do the thing that was right, or that was perceived as right, but do the thing that was right for me. That was a hard thing for me to do. I had to basically trick myself out of it. And it started with not having anything to wear. I mean, I had affirmatively, because I'm always prepared for any funeral, anything. I walk around with the right dress. I travel with clothes just in case something pops off. So I was like, if I'm not going to do this thing, I got to tell my team, I don't even want to have a dress ready.
So this is where why I'm getting at this, right? So, if you could tell it's not about Donald Trump, because if it was, she surely would have said it. She would have just said, I don't want to be in that environment. How I took it, and again, I don't know, I'm speculating, right? I think how I took it is that she doesn't want to be in the same space with Barack politically anymore. And that's what I got from it, because I think that there's something like Sabina, you talked about how she did do a great speech at the DNC, to some, right? But I think something has changed between then and now. I think the Michelle Obama at the DNC during campaign time and now I think she's arrived in a certain place now that she wasn't then. And I think
Well, I think Savina hit the nail on the head. She didn't go for her own mental health. What she went through during those 8 years was extremely difficult for her mentally and emotionally, and probably affected her physically. And finally, she decided, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't be in that political space around these people and put up this whole, front. I don't want this. And so she made a choice that was best for her mentally and emotionally. And I support her decision to say, you know what? I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm just not in that headspace anymore. And being open enough to say, I had to go to therapy to rewire the neurons in my brain that made me feel like I always had to keep going and keep striving and feel like I was good enough. And that is something, as Black women, those of us who are really striving and trying to do something, be something, that is a battle that we fight
Always.
daily, hourly, constantly, always fighting this battle to prove ourselves, because there is always these forces that are against us. We are fighting these stereotypes. We're fighting these expectations. We're fighting these negative views of us as people who can never say no. Because if we say no, then we're selfish and we're lazy, and we always need to say yes. We
Or
always
we're
need
not
to work
supporting our
like,
husbands.
oh,
well
right,
that's well
right.
here's well this is the thing though. This is the thing. So I respect it, right? But I also got to say, okay, well, now this is where I feel like the legacy starts to morph a little bit and it starts to change a little bit. Now, for some people, they may say the legacy is cemented in their brain from
Still there.
2008 to 2016, and that's it.
But the
But
legacy is cemented in what was, not
well,
currently
And that's
what
yeah,
legacy by
is right now.
definition.
let
They
me.
It's back
set
there.
I
exactly. They
I
set their
got you.
legacy by what they did.
I
So
got you.
her
But
not going to
legacy
this
can change.
inauguration now, no,
Legacy
no,
can
it's
change
not.
though. Legacy
It,
doesn't
not
stay the
not
same.
no,
It don't
not
change.
that part.
We
Not
still got
that part.
statues of Columbus. That legacy ain't changed. Now we know he was a rapist. He
That's not
brought
going to
Yes.
change.
diseases, and the
What
Italians still
happened?
want his statue here in
What
Chicago.
happened during those 8 years and how she carried herself as a first lady is not going to change. She did what she did. She said what she said. She showed up when she showed up. They
Right.
have a solid legacy. Her skipping this one event
Okay.
It's not skipping the
should
one event.
not,
It's not skipping the
cannot.
one event.
Well, how does, okay, explain to me how her legacy is morphing or changing.
I'm
When
saying
you brought
I'm
up
saying
specifically this event.
their legacy is
Okay, in
changing,
what way?
right?
Give me
So
some facts.
I'm telling you, so you can listen to
Okay.
her own words. So now
Okay.
what's happening is that so here's the thing about doing the podcast. And I don't mind the pod. I think her podcast is getting better. It didn't get a lot of good reviews initially. People were kind of, shitting on it a little bit, but I think, it
But they
evolves.
do anyway.
Well, you know what? They were shitting on her podcast for a couple of reasons. One, they really didn't like, and this is not me. This is just the reviews of the podcast. They really wasn't crazy about her brother as a co-host. They really didn't like him that much. And also, they weren't sure what type of podcast she was doing because again, she was in the political spotlight and then kind of now is doing the regular person podcast. But anyway, I'm not. Her podcast is cool. I've been watching it here and there. But my point is that being a first lady and then starting to do the podcast, she's revealing things that I feel like are now starting to, you're getting this thing about being first lady about how detrimental it was to you, right? These are the unsaid things. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, but I'm
Yeah.
saying how people ingest that information. So you start to get this picture of Michelle Obama as a first lady from being this heroic first lady, um, first black first lady, first black first the first black first lady in American history. You get
Yeah.
this image of them as president, first lady, and they've left office. They've been out of office since 2016, right? We're now in 2025. We haven't really heard anything about all this trauma and all how bad it was, quote unquote, until 10 years
She's
later.
been vocal about it. She's been vocal
She
about how hard it
she
was.
was, she was, but what I'm saying is now it's starting to scream even louder. So she did like
Mm.
for me, I think that she had her book. She's been on countless interviews where she was candid about the fact, hey, we're regular people. Our marriage wasn't perfect. I do get that. But now I feel like the description is becoming what the White House did to me, how negative it was to be first lady, what it did to my family. I never wanted him to do this. And she talks about, I think in that episode, or it might have been the episode, their pilot episode, where Craig, her brother, had to talk her into being cool with Barack running because she didn't, like you said, she didn't want him to run originally, which I understand. But once you agree, now let me lay this out. Here's my thing. you know you're the wife of a man. Now women across America will talk about how it's hard to find a man, hard to find a good man. You guys still revere Barack Obama, right? So here you have a man who, what it takes to become a president, not only the president but the first black president. So he gets to where he gets, you stand by his side, and now after that presidency, now we got to hear about how damaging it was for you. And Barack is walking around talking about, I'm in a deficit with Michelle and I need to, I don't know what he did. Let's now assuming he didn't cheat on her or beat her or whatever. Like now he's walking around looking apologetic. And it's almost honestly, I think that the inauguration, I think he would have wanted her to be there. I think she didn't want to go, and I think he wasn't cool with it. That's my speculation. I think he would have preferred to
You think
have his
he
wife.
wasn't cool with it? I think
Huh?
he would have preferred to have his wife there, but she's
Yes,
always, from day one, she's been always very vocal that she was not one for the political limelight. She does not like politics. She was not down with him running for office, and he really had her, Barack and her brother had to work on her. That's always been at the
sure.
forefront. I think now we are just seeing her really act out. Okay, we are done with this life. I need to be here, because the thing is, those 8 years, as much as, oh my gosh, we got a black male president, it was a huge sacrifice for her, because this was not some low housewife, right? You know, she's a highly educated. She was in the upper level executive management positions in the medical industry. Like, she was a contender, right? She put that on hold and helped propel him forward and made a name for herself. So much so that, yes, she was very revered, and a lot of people was like, "Hey, we want her to run for president." Now, word on the street, one of the gossip pieces I heard about their marriage is that he is mad at her for not running for president.
Hmm.
He wanted her to run, and he blames her for the reason why Donald Trump is in office now, because he felt like she could have
Interesting. I
won
never heard that before.
over. I've read all kinds of tea, and I've read that they're
I
going to start
mean, that's kind
slowly
of. I mean,
dividing
that's
their
speculation.
assets. Hmm.
I mean, that's just more speculation. We don't really
It
know what's
is.
going on behind
We
the
don't,
scenes.
but
But I
there's
don't
some.
think that.
No, continue
I
the
don't think
speculation because it's
But
important. It's
I
important.
mean, there's
no.
little things, and then someone also said that they slowly start dividing their assets. And I just read on Radar Online, which they're good because Wendy Williams used to use them, honey. Anyway, that they sold one of their homes over in what's over the East Coast, the Hamptons or
The
whatever.
Hamptons.
And the thing is, with any married couple, a divorce is a big deal, right? When you add a little money to it, you got to take your time and just ease into it. But when you're Barack and Michelle Obama in that legacy, you have to be really careful how you roll out if there truly is a divorce. And the thing is, and we all know with love and relationships and marriage, you could be ready to divorce and kill each other in 1 minute. They might be working on a divorce, and maybe in the 12th hour, they say, you know what, we're going to stick it out. Who
Right.
knows? But we know it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And we know, I mean, as a woman who have dated black men, could you imagine the ego of having the first black male? That's all you got to deal with. He's president, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she's a strong black woman.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many dynamics at play, and nobody is perfect. We have regular human beings. Do I think it was okay for her to miss out on the inauguration? Absolutely, because I do really feel like that could have been a mental health stressor for her. Did it look some kind of way for Barack to walk down by himself? Yes. And I'm a girl's girl. I'm
Hell
10
yeah, look
toes
bad.
down with Barack. I mean, with Michelle. But I did feel some kind of way seeing him have to
So
walk
tell
down
me,
by himself.
if you were the first lady, hypothetically, you not gonna walk with him? You gonna let him walk by himself? Like, to me, what would he have had to done for
It
you to
depends
walk
on
by
where I'm
yourself?
at. It depends on where I'm at.
What you
If
mean
I
where you at?
really don't feel strong enough, because the thing is, it's just a lot. And just seeing that this man
maybe
is being
she.
inaugurated, it would take all of the Jesus Christ in me to not be like, that motherfucker should not be our president, right?
What? But you rather see your husband walk
But
solo
it really
rather
depends
than
on where.
walk next to him. Even if you like, yo, I don't mess
To
with this
see
president.
my husband walk solo than for me to cause a scene or for me to be over scrutinized because I'm walking in there with a mean mug and an attitude because I got to go to this bullshit, right?
But
Well,
you
And that's
why?
what
also
we're
have to
dealing with.
consider. But
Well,
here's the thing that you need to consider, though, too, is that how difficult was it for her? What was she going through that she finally reached a breaking point
And
where
had
she's
to
like,
say no.
I can't do this?
well,
Everybody reaches points in their life where you have just had enough. And it
And
really
that's not
depends on
easy.
where you feel pushed mentally.
Yeah.
There are things that can happen to you in life that can just
okay.
push you to a place where you're just like, no, I'm
But
done. No,
here's
I'm not
my
doing
thing.
this.
Here's my thing with that, twin, and I feel you, and I'm not taking away from it. And I'm so here's my thing. To me, this is something. This is the way it could be taken to me, and I think that I've seen a lot of men talk about this. What it looked like is that women can't never be happy. Here you have no. I'm just saying, just loosely, I'm saying women can't be happy. Here you have a woman who is
She's been
married.
8 years.
She's married to the first, huh? What,
A
8 out of 10
buttercup for
women?
8 years.
What the hell
She
does this
Oh,
sucked
have
you
to
it
say
do
up
with
8 what
women
buttercup for
can't
you say
never
8
be
8 out of 10
years.
happy?
women ain't happy, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying for 8 years, she sucked it up buttercup. She was out
What?
working out. Hey, yay for physical fitness for children of America. Let's get the
Yeah,
nutrition right. She played the part of first
I
lady.
got
She did
you.
it so good. Everybody
Let
loves
me
her.
tell you.
I'm
You
She
know
saying she
what?
was
did
Hold
that.
great.
on.
And
I'm
she
Hold
with
didn't
you.
want to.
Wait, no,
She
hold
didn't
on,
want to do
hold
that. She
on,
sucked it
hold
up.
on a second. Let me take this. Let me change this perspective for you so you can understand. Okay, if
Understand
it
what?
was a no, if it was a
Got it.
first of all, you talk about how women ain't happy, and this can
She
be
said,
viewed as
first of
women ain't
all,
happy. Let me tell you something, okay, about men. If it was a woman who was president and it was a man who was first man and he was dealing with all the hatred and all the vitriol that Michelle had to deal with, he would have been and blew his damn
Here's
head
the
off.
thing, though.
He
Here's the
wouldn't have been
thing.
able to
Here's the
handle it.
thing.
So she gets a
I
pass.
can't argue that because that's hypothetical. But what I can tell you is that what I tried to do, I tried to go back. Here's the thing, and I think y'all are painting yourself into a very tight corner. I tried to go back and I said, let me find another inauguration where a president walks solo. Right now, here's my thing.
Who
If Barack,
cares?
no,
it's
listen,
one event in
it's
time.
important. It's important. Why?
She
Because
endured 8 years. He had to go to
if
one event.
Barack, what?
She endured 8 years. He had to go to one event by
And no,
himself
I got you.
in the
I
whole
got you. I'm
world.
with you. I'm
Good
with
Lord,
you.
child. He had to go
I'm with
there
You're
you.
not
by
you're not
himself.
with
Oh,
us
No,
because you're
Jesus.
listen.
making this one event
I
so
got you.
pivotal in
I
their
understand.
legacy and in their history
No,
that
no,
you're
no.
making it seem like,
Take
well, now
but take
she's
it
over
in
here
though. Take in
spilling
what
all
I'm
the
gonna say though.
business and making them look bad,
I'm
basically.
not saying I'm just offering analysis to it. I know we can simplify it and say it's no big deal. I get it. But everybody ain't looking. Some people are looking at that simple. I get it. I mean, I ain't mad at it. But
We're
there's
not saying it's not
always
a big
another way.
deal. We're saying that there are bigger things at hand in her mental health. She sustained 8 years being in a very public, very high profile position, and
And
she did
she's
the
But
hell out of
here's the
it.
still being
thing. Here's the
hated
thing I
on.
And
would
now
say to
she's
that.
taking that time.
Here's the thing I would say to that though. I respect it, but what I'm saying is that she's not unique and she's not the first and she's not the
She
last.
is
And
the first,
Yes,
and
she
she's
is
no,
unique.
no, no, no,
unique.
no,
She's the
no.
She
first
is
black woman to
unique,
do
and
it.
she
She's
is
the
the
first with
first.
the color of skin, but she's not the
That's
first.
That's everything in
that is a
America.
huge
That's
No.
deal, though.
everything.
Here's the
That's
problem though.
everything.
This is the problem though. This is the corner y'all painting yourself in then. Because the problem is that if we look, I'm black, I have a daughter, I exalt black, I love black women. You know what I'm saying? I'm married to a black woman, but the problem is that here's the thing. Then we can't expect black women to do certain things because we're gonna be like, well, you don't have the same, you're going through something different, so you don't have to be held to the same standard of anybody else.
Bullshit. I'm gonna call
No,
bullshit on
You're
because
that.
not
if Laura
listening.
I'm
didn't
gonna call
go,
bullshit on
nobody
that.
would say shit about it. Laura would be gone at home or in Nantucket, and nobody would talk
Right,
about it.
but she
They
didn't.
targeted and
They
they're
wouldn't
looking
give
at
a damn.
No,
Michelle.
listen.
And if she would,
I got
you know
you.
what? As a matter of fact, let's play back every single inauguration that we've had since the
Mhm,
presidency has existed, and let's see
mhm.
how many times a first, not the most recent, for the two terms beyond, didn't show up. They don't talk about it
Well,
because they
I
focus on Michelle.
no, no, no,
Why do
no.
they focus
Let
on
me let me let
Michelle?
me stay there. Let me stay there. That's a good point. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that the Obamas had to come. My thing is that if Barack decided not to come, that would have made perfect sense to
But
me. The
I'm
problem,
saying, let's look at the first ladies. Run that.
no, but the
Two
problem
prior
is,
first ladies.
well, here's the thing. I'm not basing it just on the first lady. I'm basing it on the president that comes. So again, I could be wrong, but I tried to find a scenario where the ex-president came, but the first lady didn't come in an inauguration.
But not even
Now,
X. Let's go back two X's. right?
What you mean?
Because the preceding president was there, Jill and Joe Biden. That's the most pivotal, most important one. But let's go
Exactly.
back in history and let's see if they ever even commented on if two presidents beyond, if that first lady didn't attend. What I'm saying is
I
that,
never
and they
seen that
do that
before. I never
because
seen
they
that
don't
before.
talk about it. We
No,
don't
no,
see it
I'm
because
saying
it's not.
I went back and looked. So I went back and tried to find a scenario. Not so much trying to beat up on Michelle Obama, but I tried to find a scenario because what they did in this inauguration, they had obviously Joe and Jill. Then they had prior to that was Barack and Michelle. And keep in mind, Bill and Hillary were before. Bill
Melania, did Trump and Melania show up for Joe Biden's inauguration?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't want you guys are getting lost in that. What I'm saying is that if Donald Trump is showing up, she's
No,
showing up.
I'm not lost in what you're saying. I'm
So
saying is that what you need to understand too is that there is undue focus on Michelle Obama. This is one
well,
event at one
what
point in
way?
time, and she's done so much to fulfill the
What do you mean in
legacy
what
of
way?
the Obama
They
I
Foundation
don't
and
understand.
what
they
she's done.
criticize her for absolutely everything,
She
Okay,
more than
touched the
they've
Queen
ever
of England.
criticized
Oh my!
any other
I
first lady.
remember these
I've
news
so
never
headlines.
here's the
heard
thing though.
the
Here's the
amount
thing.
of vitriol toward a
Here's the
first
thing. So
lady.
was Barack. So was Barack. Barack faced the same craziness when he was in office too.
But he was the president. He signed up for that. She did
Exactly.
not.
But okay,
Exactly.
so
She
this is
supported her
my
husband. She said,
this is
"Okay,
my
babe, you
point.
can do. I won't
This is
trip."
Okay,
And
what's
she
your
stuck to
point?
that buttercup for
Help me
8 years.
my
understand what your
point is
point is.
that to me it looked like okay, it looked like to me, I hate to say it, but it make it look like the black woman is going to diverge from you at some point because she ain't going to deal with, like, if she have to deal with certain things that are quote unquote too stressful, she's going to do for self at the end of the day. And that's what I feel like happened in this
And you know
scenario.
why that's
I feel
you
like
know why that's bullshit? Because
why?
for 8 years and for up to this point, she showed up for everything. So the one time she doesn't show, that automatically means that the black woman is not going to be happy, and at the end she's going to blah blah
No, you
blah.
have to
That's
read.
bullshit.
No, 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 no. That's because you're reading just the inauguration, but that's why I played the podcast for you. You have to read the whole thing. I'm not saying they're getting divorced. I'm not saying she doesn't love him. But if you read everything that she's actually saying, what it has shown, and let's be honest, it's not peaches and cream. When you're on the podcast talking about what those 8 years did to you, Barack is talking about he's in a deficit with his wife and he's being spotted all over the place by himself. They haven't been spotted together in a long time, and that's their prerogative. I'm not mad at it, but my thing is that at what point do you say, you know what, I'm gonna stand with you, because she didn't go to Jimmy Carter's funeral either, right? She didn't go. He was there solo too. Why she didn't go to a funeral? Now, was Donald Trump the reason for that too? So
But
my
you can't always call that as,
We
oh
didn't say it
well,
was because
that
of
means
Donald
she gonna
Trump.
always do for self and she gonna diverge from you and she ain't gonna, you
No,
know, I feel like you're reading way too much into that and making a huge
there's a lot of
generalization that's
inferencing going
completely
on there.
unfair.
well,
Yeah.
Completely
that's
unfair.
okay. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm not the only one thinking that. So I'm
And
not trying to put that on her, but I guess I'm throwing it out there for a
Well, you
conversation.
in the right wing media, yeah. So no, you're not by
No,
yourself. But I
not
mean,
in the right.
here's the reality, right? These people
I'm,
are individuals. They are humans, and the thing is, we can we there's no one else in history that we can compare Michelle Obama to because she's the first and she's the only. So we can't. We comparisons can go out the window. One, right?
well,
Because there's
wait a
no one
minute.
else.
Wait a minute. Wait
There's
a minute.
no one else. There's no other black first lady in the history of our country. And
That's
that is what,
true, but that
and I
doesn't
mean,
mean
and
that
that,
can't be
but that
compared.
within itself means
no, you
I
cannot
cannot
compare it
compare
because how she's been treated,
Hillary.
you know,
Yeah.
how she was treated and talked about in comparison to Laura Bush or or even Hillary
Hillary
Clinton at
Clinton,
the time. You cannot compare the two
Nancy
because
Reagan.
how
You
black
cannot.
women are treated in this country is way different than how
Wait a
white
minute, wait a
women are
minute, wait a
treated in
minute.
this
So here's
country.
the
Come
thing,
on.
though. Here's the thing that's, I hear y'all, but at the same time, y'all
Do
are kind of
you?
rewriting history with Michelle
How
Obama.
are we
Yeah,
rewriting history
We're
though?
listen.
not rewriting history. She's the only one in history.
No, no,
I,
no, no,
I
no.
stand by that. That's a fact. So
I
what I'm
agree
And
with
saying is
you.
that
I agree with
her
you. Wait a minute.
experience is unique
What
from
I'm
any other first lady
but
that has
Michelle
ever been in the
Obama,
White House.
Michelle Obama was not disliked. So yes, she faced
she
criticism,
was
but
disliked by
By
a lot of
she was
people.
disliked
no,
by
but
some. Now,
She was
so let
disliked
me
by
ask
a
y'all a
lot.
question before we see because y'all are sticking to that.
and
But
the thing
let's
is,
be
and here's
honest.
the thing, though, she was a victim of
Overall,
so many different microaggressions. So there's
but
a way that you can
overall,
talk to black women where you
But overall,
seemingly
what?
are
Okay,
okay, but you're still
tell
throwing
us.
shade.
Hold on. Tell
so
us.
let me ask you overall. So are y'all saying overall that she was a hated first lady? If we say all the American people, not fringes, but overall, did the American people like her? Yes or no?
They
Huh?
love her. But here's what. I loved in my job. Does that mean I don't face microaggressions? Does
I'm
that
not.
mean I don't face a
No,
lot of bullshit I gotta overlook? No, it is the same. Because
I'm
the thing
saying the
is, for her to
totality.
be loved,
Yeah, but the
she
totality wasn't not all what she was dealing with. She was
what
dealing with
she's
a
dealing
lot
with. We
of
can
Wait, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. So
you can be
let me.
loved and revered and still
will
face
be
a
hated
lot of
But
bullshit.
and a
So
lot of criticism.
everybody faces criticism. So my point is, I'm not saying that.
it's not
I'm not.
criticism.
Not the
It's
Listen,
not
same.
it's not the
I'm
criticism.
not saying that Michelle didn't face stuff. What I'm saying is that yes, she's the first black lady, but I can't. She's not an alien. She's not an alien. What at the end of the day, there are other first
She's a
ladies.
unicorn.
She's a unicorn based on the fact of how we voted. That's for sure.
She's a unicorn
But
because of this.
we can't act like we can't act like okay, no other first lady was ever criticized and never faced criticism. That's just not true. So what I'm
Not the
saying is that
way that they went. They didn't go. They didn't go for
but
them
you're
other
here's the
first
thing,
ladies the way
guys
People
are
even
they
clacking for
you
Laura
were.
and
guys are
them.
leaning on that
People weren't
narrative.
even clacking for Jill. What's the worst he said about Jill? Oh, she's a fake doctor because she's got a PhD, but she ain't a medical doctor. Like people come
But
for us
wait a minute.
different.
You
Our
got
experience in America is different, and
It's
that's just
different.
and that's
I
it.
got
That's
you.
it.
I
The
And
got
black
you, but
experience.
you sound like a lot of the masses of America who don't get it. They don't. You don't. Who don't
no
get.
no no don't
You
get
should
what?
be. You should be. You don't get how black women are treated. You don't
No, no, no. Here's
understand
the thing.
the.
I do get how black women are treated, but the problem is that you can't say if I say okay, here's a black woman who the majority of America is liked. If she was not liked, and this is not just black people, we're only 12% of the population. You know what I'm saying? I can't count everybody else, but let's say Greater White America. Greater White America is still what 80% of America, if more, not more. So if Michelle Obama is so disliked, no one would have talked about she would have done well if she had ran for president. We all know that. So I'm not dis I'm listen, I'm
But
not
you don't
Being
know what
discounting
liked
her
doesn't speak to her
experience was, though.
experience.
no, I'm not
You don't
Her
discounting
know
y'all ain't
how
experience.
listening.
she
But that's her
experienced
life.
that
So being
time,
liked
though.
is not
And
your life.
I
I'm
don't
not
think that it's
discounting that.
fair if she's telling you that this was a very difficult time for me. I don't think that any of us have the right to sit here and analyze it and tell her that it's wrong, it's different. You were liked by mostly everybody, so it couldn't have been that
So
bad.
show up.
And you need to show up and you need to do this. I don't. No
But
one
here's
has
the
the right to
thing.
tell her that.
But you're assuming, and again,
What am I assuming?
no, listen.
No, we
You're
know it.
assuming you
We
know,
got
you
50
guys are
years of being
assuming
black women.
you
49.
no, no,
Oops.
y'all are
What are we
assuming
assuming?
listen, y'all are assuming that her falling back is because of this dislike. She's never said it. She didn't say it at
But we're
all.
not saying dislike. We're saying her experience. You can
Experience.
love me.
So
White people can love me,
no,
but
wait
I
a
still
minute.
experience some weird
I
shit from
got
them
you, but
that
that's the
makes
Mhm.
that does
narrative.
not work well with here.
That's
Let
the
me call Michelle
narrative
right
that
Exactly.
now,
y'all are
girl.
putting
Let me
on her.
tell you, I'm about to
We're
call
not
Y'all are
putting
Michelle.
listen.
that on her. She's
Y'all are
basically saying that.
no, she did not say that. She did not say
She
it.
didn't
Now,
have to say it
no, wait.
in specific words,
Okay.
but she said
So,
that she
She had to
was
get her
dealing
mind
with
right
stuff.
to a point where
right.
she felt okay saying no. She said she had to get her mind right to stop trying to reach some standard that is not within her reach
Y'all
or
are
that's not existing. She said that. Those
That's
I'm
what
were
not
she
her
saying
said.
words.
no,
And
listen.
when
I'm
she
not
said it,
saying
we
y'all are
knew what she
wrong.
was talking about.
I'm not saying y'all are wrong, but what I'm saying is that she's not specifically saying that. So it could be that, but it
But
could
she did
also
say that.
it could be that, but it could also be the issue with Barack Obama
Now that's the
because
part she didn't say. That's your inferencing.
well, no, no,
But what
listen,
she
Right.
did say,
right.
what
So
she said
I'm
was
saying
that
it could be. I'm saying it could be. So
right. So
she
you're the
And
one
it could be that she
inferencing.
saw Bigfoot in the northern wilderness. I mean, it could be a lot of things. You can make a whole lot of inferences of what it could be, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's that. But why do we automatically have to go to, well, it means, how it could be taken is that, the black woman's
She
gonna
not upholding
diverge
her
and
black
she ain't gonna
man.
show up and she gonna do for self. That is so unfair,
It is
so
so
unfair.
unfair.
it's not unfair when you
And that's
start to
such a
actually.
speculation that people come to so damn quickly as soon as we say no.
No,
As soon as
that's
we
not
say no,
true.
that's our experience in
But that's
this
what
in
she
this in
said.
this.
She said she
Yes.
felt like she couldn't say no. And
Hmm.
she
Right.
finally had to
So
get to a point where she was okay saying no and
And
exercising
as soon
her
as
right
black
to
women,
say
as
no
soon as we
and
say
preservation of her
no,
mental health.
you could even say that black men are never going to be happy with black women because they're always happy when we are so giving and loving. Then y'all describe us as being so down, and we hold an n-word down, and we got
Day
y'all. But the
one.
second we set a boundary, the second we say no to some bullshit,
Or
then
difficult.
all of a sudden, everything that we've done for you beforehand is out the window. Now
Like
we ain't
eight
down no
years.
more.
Eight
Now we ain't
years.
cool no more. Now we ain't holding y'all down, and we
let me okay,
selfish.
I got you. But let me ask you a question. What would you think? What would you think if Michelle decided to run for president and Barack wasn't?
I think she.
No, wait.
Honestly, I
Let
think
me
she'd be
finish the
crazy.
question. Let me finish the
Okay,
question.
okay,
What
okay.
if Michelle decided to run for president and she had a certain events or she had certain things and Barack was like, "Nah, I've been stressed. I went through all this stuff as president, and I'm gonna fall back and focus on me right now." Y'all would cook his ass alive. Y'all would cook him.
If he said
Black
it, if,
women
if
would.
he said that was the reason,
What do you mean? If he
if he
said it was
if
reason,
he if he if he publicly said, "Well, no, I'm gonna fall back and I'm gonna focus on me all
because
the time," but her not showing up to, to this
well,
inauguration, I mean,
let me add to
But
that.
when
Let
he
me
was
add to
running
that.
for when he was president for 8 years, she was there all the time. So
she was
yes,
by
if
his
she was
side through
running, if
everything.
she's actively running or she's actively the president, then yes, you need to show
Yes,
the fuck up. He
she
is not
showed
president.
up.
He is
She
done.
showed
He
up.
served his 8 years.
Thank
She
you.
served them with
When it
him.
really
8 years.
counted during those 8 years, she showed up and she
She was
showed
there.
out.
She was
She went
supposed
above and
Exceptionally.
to.
beyond.
She
Well,
yes, she
so then
is.
what's the
And she
problem?
did what she was supposed to do.
So then
He
what's the
is no
problem?
longer
Now
president.
she's falling back now
I
after
don't have
they've
a
been
problem
out of
with her
office
falling
since
back. I don't have a
2016.
problem with her falling back.
Then
The
then
problem.
what are we talking about then?
Well,
No,
you guys you're
all right,
attributing a
sis.
lot. You're attributing a lot of things, and you're talking
I
about
mean,
how
but based on
she was,
what you said,
huh?
I'm just jumping on the same bandwagon that you
What you
started
mean?
dropping it.
She said, "What we
You
talking
started
about,
talking
bro?"
about how it could be, how it could be perceived that,
Yeah,
black women is going to, diverge, and she's going to do for self,
it
and
does
and,
look
and
that
Yeah,
way. Yeah, because
but no,
okay,
because
because
in
well,
reality, it looks
why
like
does it
she
look
served
that
her
way?
8 years and she's done. Period.
right.
Why does it
Kids are
look that way?
grown.
Because
She like she's
she's
living
falling back
her life.
now. She's falling back 9 years after the fact, and it can now that she's falling back 9 years later. Now it can be perceived that
Give me
black
a
women
high five, y'all. Go
are not
ahead,
going to
right?
show
Get
up,
there,
and they're going to
sis.
do for self. But
Got you.
when it counted, when she was really when he was in office, everything that she needed to be there for, she was there for. But now,
She was there
9 years later, after the
9
fact,
years, almost a
now
Here's the
all of a
decade.
thing.
sudden it looked like, oh,
Let me
she's
say
gonna do for
this.
self. That is
Here's the thing.
bullshit.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. At the end of the
Fuck
day,
out of here.
here's the thing.
I'm saying that.
So what's happening now is that when you're on a podcast and
Amen.
you're talking about why you didn't show up for this, you didn't show up for that. You know what I'm saying? There aren't many things.
And
There
she
aren't
said it was
many
for
things.
her.
I
That's
got
what she
you.
said.
But there aren't many things that the president and first lady need to show up for. Keep in mind. Inauguration happens once every 4 years. The Jimmy Carter funeral was one funeral. And I'm not saying she's wrong. What I'm saying is that now being on the pod and you're like, yo, what these 8 years did to me. My thing is that either divorce Barack or be quiet about it because you tarnishing the
Well,
legacy.
she ain't
That's my
talking
thing.
about Barack.
Bullshit. She
That's
ain't
you. So
tarnishing the she ain't
Osu feels
tarnishing no
strongly about
damn
this
legacy.
legacy thing. Nobody else is clacking for that one. And I guarantee you, Melania ain't doing all the shit. Melania, her first Christmas in the White House, it was bloody murder, like weird red, bloody red Christmas decorations, okay? She's not fulfilling all the obligations. What is her motto? Be best. Don't be a bully. You're married to the biggest fucking bully in the world. No, 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 no. Michelle gets a pass. She endured 8 years. 8 years. She worked the hell out of that. Even after that, she's still doing things. She showed up and showed out at the DNC, had
It's
us
9
all
years
pumped up.
later.
nine
It's
years
nine
later,
years
in
later.
one event,
She can,
she's good.
if she wants to fall back now, 9 years later, after she put in her time during the time, and she put in her time after the time, and now she's like, you know what? Fuck all this. She gets a pass, and she's not
And here's
tarnishing no
what
damn legacy because she did everything that she was supposed to do when she was supposed to do it. And
when
now
she
that
when
she's looking old and tired, she can fall all the way the fuck back.
And guess what? She may very well be in the midst of a divorce from Barack Obama. That could be reality. She did not dog him out. And on that podcast, she has not once talked bad about him. She did talk about her
Absolutely not.
experience not being bad. And every black woman knows all the things she's talking about. But when she said, I had to say no, we get it. Because as women, we do a lot of yeses. And
Mm-hmm.
men may think they say a lot of yeses too, but for women, there's so much, especially if you're married to a high powered man. You are married to the president of the United States of America. That means that high powered woman has to kind of
She had to.
acquiesce to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent, not just to her husband, but to the American people.
People.
She had to
Mm-hmm.
acquiesce and she did it very well. She played the first lady part when in
Yeah,
actuality,
I'm
when in
not arguing that
actuality,
she
her
was.
personality and the power that she exudes, she's very much presidential. She don't want that. I already know her personality type. She's not a people person. So when you have people who are not people, having to do all those things, it is very exhausting and draining.
Mm-hmm.
So she devoted her life to living a lifestyle that is almost counterintuitive to who she really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now she is saying, I can't, I don't want to. It is
Yeah.
okay. As people, let's take the woman thing out. As people, especially when you get to a certain age, you have to understand who you are, place those boundaries there and say, you know what, I cannot anymore.
There's nothing
The
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that, but
obligations
there's
to
nothing
the
wrong with that.
legacy of Barack Obama's presidency, she's done that. She don't owe
Mm-hmm.
us anything else as the
So that's
first
all. That's
lady.
second.
She don't owe us anything.
She
That's
don't,
Now
she
second.
don't
she's
own
Michelle
no, no.
Obama.
She exactly. She's a Michelle Obama now.
She's
I
She's
got
Michelle.
not.
you.
She's not the
So
first lady anymore. It's 9 years later. She can do whatever the fuck she want to do now. She's earned that.
right.
She's
So
earned
I
it.
got you. But so that's what I'm saying. So what happens is that I think that I feel like okay if they're gonna divorce then divorce, but I think that
You can't just divorce.
But
well they can. She can
but
do what
why are
she
we
want, right?
why are
Too
we
much
assuming
money,
that?
too much prestige, too much. They got to be
But why
real
are we
careful how
assuming
they
that
do
that's
it
the
if
direction
they're
it's
doing
going?
it.
Why does it have to? Why does it even have to be that?
But
Well again,
it might be that.
you can't play it both ways. You can't play it both
Why?
ways.
Why? What do you mean play it both ways?
Meaning that okay, either you look like you're solid or you're not. That's what I'm saying.
Plenty of couples look like they solid 1 minute, and then the
And they be
sometimes
horrible. They be a
Correct.
hot ass
You're
mess.
absolutely right. I agree with
exactly.
you. That's why I'm saying that even why do you think Hillary Clinton went with Bill because she wants to run for president again? She went to represent the Clinton name. She went to
No, she
represent her
went
husband.
because she wants to run for president. And here's the thing. And
You
so
think
here's
she
the
want to
thing.
run
All
again?
these no, but here's the thing. all these preservation. So the pretty picture does not mean pretty life.
I agree.
So, and here's the thing though. So Michelle's not a public image person. We just talked about that. How
Hmm.
her trying to be in the public was exhausting for her. She's very much a real ass chick. She is Southside Michelle Robinson, okay? So, yeah, Laura, my husband's a drunk, my girls are on cocaine, you know, because them Bush girls was doing all the things when they were in office, right? She played the part.
And you know what?
Hillary did what
Some
she
of them
had to
were
do.
groomed
Michelle is a
for
real
that.
chick, so she played the part for 8 years. Now she's like,
Some of
I
the
gotta be me,
some
whatever
of
that
these
is.
first ladies were groomed for that. They were politicians'
Most of them
wives,
were.
being the Southern belles, and they played. They a lot of them married from families who had daughters who were groomed for that
Not
It's all
to
all.
be
strategic.
Not
who.
all.
Yeah, not all, but a
Not all.
lot of them come from that dynamic where they
Mhm.
are their aspiration is to be the wife of a powerful man, and they and their families support that whole vision of you are going to be the wife of and so then you need to do this, so that is
And
their
that
whole
within itself,
identity. That's
yes,
their whole
that part.
identity. The biggest part of their identity is being this person's wife and being and showing up and fulfilling this role as that person's wife. A lot of them did not have much outside identity
Hillary
than
Clinton
that.
is the
Southside
exact
Michelle
opposite of
wasn't.
that, though. Hillary Clinton is purely
Yeah,
the
but we
exact
don't know
opposite.
why she came. You see, here's the thing. There's so many assumptions here. You cannot assume that she came because she was there to represent the Clinton name and
Yeah,
she
but we
wanted to
can't assume
protect
that
their
we
legacy.
can't assume that she wasn't. We're
You
all
can't,
making
exactly.
assumptions.
But you can't assume. But you can't say either that Michelle is ruining the Obama legacy because she just wasn't. She
I'm
felt
not
like she
saying
wasn't
she's
cut out for that
ruining the
public life,
legacy.
or that
I'm not
she's
saying she's
saying. That's
ruining the
exactly what she
legacy.
said.
What I'm
That's
saying is
exactly
that
what she said.
what I'm saying is that she's putting herself above the legacy is what I'm saying. Now,
How?
we can
How is
argue
she
about
putting herself above the legacy because she didn't want to come to a couple of events?
Yeah, the legacy is the legacy.
It's
She's putting
it's
herself up.
you are
She's putting
wholly
herself
discounting
first.
I'm
Yeah.
not listen,
everything that she
I am not
did
I am not
prior to
here's the
now.
thing. I am not the only person making this up.
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
This no, it does matter because this is not some one fringe podcaster saying something. This has been covered by
And
major
me
news
too.
stations on the left and the right. Everybody's
Because
been
they love
talking
the
about,
drama they
huh?
love the drama and the controversy.
No,
That's
And
why.
it's
no one's talking about it anymore. They're talking about it in the moment. And the thing is with Michelle Obama, yes, she put herself first. Heaven forbid a woman over 60 put herself first. And that's what happens. We get older and we realize all the little minuscule bullshit that we sacrifice ourselves for don't matter. In the end, it is us, our
everybody
mental
makes
health, and
sacrifices.
everybody. Yes, but everybody stops making sacrifice. That's why old people are so like we think they're like prickly and curmudgeonly and just like mean, but that's really them being their authentic selves.
Hendrick
So
selves
she's at
and they
that age
say
where she's
whatever
like,
is
I
on their
give
mind.
zero, right?
I
No
got you.
one's talking. What people are talking about now are these fucking tariffs, okay? And what will life look like in a week from
Sure.
now when everything's
Sure.
$1 million, right? No one cares. In the moment, oh my God, Michelle's not here. No one cares anymore because our news
I'm
cycle is like
I'm
this.
not
And
saying
here's
everybody
what
I'm not saying everybody cares. I'm not
but,
making it a bigger deal.
what
What I'm
I'm saying
saying.
is that no one cares right now. In the moment, a lot of people did. I'm with you. A lot of people like, oh, Michelle not here. To be honest, I was. I'm like, oh, I got it. I was with my sister because I know that here it takes a lot to be involved in all that stuff. She had to say no, but and I watched the inauguration because I just was in that mode where I was watching all things
I
news and
couldn't
Trump,
watch that
and
bullshit.
it did do something to me in the moment. However, the feeling I felt is not as big as the feeling I felt for my sister who said no to preserve herself because I understand that too, right?
Correct.
I
That's exactly my
understand
point.
what Michelle had to be going through. And I also understand how hard it is to say no. And even whether they're divorcing or not, I guarantee you, even let's say They are divorcing. Even walking out the door, I guarantee you 500% that she will still do whatever she needs to do to cover his black ass, right? And I
And
remember
why
when I
is
was
it
walking out of a
that
door,
as
I
soon
was
as
covering asses. So you still
and
be down because for that person, there's still love there, there's respect, and you want them to be okay. So there's something where she could not do it. And just understand if she
why
didn't
is
do it,
it
it's
is
not out of
that as soon
selfishness,
as
it's out of self preservation.
and why is it as soon
Oh,
as we don't want to take one for the team, now all of a sudden we ruining legacies and we there's something
She
wrong with
took
us.
500 for the
Let
team.
me
I
tell you
guarantee
something.
you.
There's
so
just because
wait a
all
minute.
them other first ladies decided that they wanted to take one for the team. Nobody was speculating about how
Nobody's done that
strong
though.
their
That's what I'm
marriages
saying.
were.
So nobody.
You know
If
what I'm
we can
saying?
find, I'll
I
challenge
gotta double
people.
check.
If we can find, and I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. I try to find it. If we can find another situation like that, then and I'm not saying the inauguration is the be all end all. It's kind of the culmination
It's
of
gonna take
what things
a
look like.
slow and a fine tooth comb because what I'm saying is that it's probably happened before and nobody even cared or paid attention. Because typically, no one who was Jimmy Carter's first lady, who was we know Ronald Reagan's first lady, who was Ford's first lady. Like people don't even pay
I'm willing.
attention to the first
I'm
freaking
willing to
lady.
bet you. So here's the thing. I'm willing to bet you because this is
Here's
how
what I'm willing to
this.
bet you. I
I bet
bet
you
you
nobody
many of
paid
those
attention.
women. I bet you many of those women were just profoundly unhappy.
And
I'm
That's not
willing
the
submissive.
to
point.
But
That's not the
I
guarantee
but
you.
point.
I but I would
No,
also bet
I
that
know
Point.
it's not
people
the.
didn't
I
pay
know it's not the
attention.
point because the point is that
People weren't paying
those
attention.
women didn't speak up,
You don't
and
know that.
so you
This is the
feel
problem.
people revere those
This
women
is the
who did
problem.
not speak
What
up,
you're
and
saying.
they
Go
look
ahead.
at them more highly because they're like, oh, those women are so supportive and they're really standing
This is
behind their man
precisely why I wanted to talk about this. This is
because
precisely why I
they
want to
didn't say
talk
anything.
about this. You know why I want to talk about this is because I think that we have to, because this is the thing. We got to get away from, and I'm not saying Michelle Obama has the right to make her choice, but we got to get away from automatically making women victims and unhappy. This doesn't make any sense to assume that these women are unhappy. Why would they need to be unhappy? Why would be the reason? Because they were married to the president? Because they
It's
have
that's
a
not
life. Wait,
that's not
listen.
easy life. That's not an
What?
easy life.
Nothing's an
Being a
easy life
president's
though.
wife.
Being poor is not an easy life. I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. How can everything make a woman unhappy? If you're poor and you have nothing and your husband can't provide from you, you're unhappy. If your husband is ambitious enough to go from mayor, senator, whatever, congressman, alderman to president, why are you unhappy? Why? Because anything that a man is supposed to do that's going to take any achievement is going to take time and sacrifice. Why would a woman automatically be unhappy is my question. So the idea of that is the no listen, the idea, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to do this, because your idea of that is you automatically think a woman. So when can a woman be happy? Where and when can a woman be happy then?
Wow.
I'm asking you.
Wow. It's like who am I talking to right now? I don't even
Because you're
recognize you right now.
assuming.
This is like
You're assuming
crazy.
you because no, listen, let me say, you just said that you guarantee that all those other first ladies were unhappy based on
Not
what?
all of them. I said some of them women were probably
You said a
unhappy.
lot of them were unhappy
Michelle,
based on
they
what?
probably were. Michelle Obama probably wasn't the only one.
But I'm
And
asking
besides,
you, no, I'm
why?
asking
Because
you based on what? Based on
it's a
what?
huge invasive sacrifice into your life because you're expected to just be his arm piece. It is so hard for you to do anything of your own, and you are subject to so much scrutiny that it's mentally and emotionally difficult for some people that they can't handle that. That's why some of these women rather just they give up on any kind of
Okay.
career or anything that they're doing for themselves to just
So
stand there and smile and try to keep the spotlight off of them.
let me shoot that
That's
down for a
why.
minute, because not all, again, and Sabina just made a perfect point. Who was Jimmy Carter's first? Every first ladies have they don't have the obligation, excuse me, they have the choice to be very visible or not visible. They have an opportunity to use it to
Michelle didn't have that choice. She had to be visible.
that's not true. That's not true. That's what she chose to do. Michelle
She
Obama.
chose to.
Of course. Why she chose? Listen, Michelle Obama chose initiatives that she was behind because we all know she's
She
educated. She's not a
chose
dummy.
initiative she's behind, but people paid attention because she was the first black
Yes,
one.
yes, but
So everyone chooses initiatives they're behind,
let's
but
not.
but the attention that is paid to it is dependent. No one before every other people paid a little attention to Laura. Nancy Reagan had the just say no thing before Nancy. Who
But wait, you're pivoting the
knows?
argument though. I'm not saying that people aren't paying attention. What I'm saying is that we can't assume that she had to do anything. The thing is that first ladies choose their visibility. So there was different visibility for those first ladies. So I'm saying that I believe Michelle chose things that she wanted to do. She chose them prior, or excuse me, post White House. She did tours. They get paid, whatever, $3 million, $2 million to speak every engagement. It's like she's
She
being
wrote some
subjected to all this
books.
stuff. They became extremely enriched. She's able to do her
Yeah,
book. She was able to do speeches at $2 million or $500,000, whatever it is, up every speaking. I mean, let's get real here now. We're trying to
and
turn her into
continuing the
some big.
legacy of the Obamas.
No, no,
Oh,
no. I'm
so
saying
you're
that.
saying after he left the White House, she continued to build on the legacy by holding
Well,
speaking engagements and
wait.
books and writing books.
No, she was able to build on it. She was able to build her own. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. She was able to build her. She was able to build on her own name, right? Based on being the first. She was able
That
to
doesn't have
benefit.
to. That doesn't have the legacy though.
I'm not
Her
saying
name
it
is
would help the
Michelle Obama.
legacy. What I'm saying is that she wasn't doing all that. She wasn't doing all that after the White House. After the White House, she went on her speaking engagements, continued to do what she do, and I ain't mad at it. Right? She enriched herself personally as well. You right? Now fast forward 8 years, right? Now we're in 2025, and now it's like, oh, all these things and how bad it was, and I didn't like Barack for 10 years, and blah blah blah. Now we're doing that. So I'm saying that I'm not mad.
She's always done that.
She's Yes,
Michelle Obama never glamorized her position, her role, or her marriage.
you're right.
Other
I
people
agree.
did. She always kept it a buck 50.
Why are we
Okay.
redoing it? Why are we redoing it now, though? Why are we talking about it now, though?
She's not redoing it. She is perpetually has been realistic about her marriage, about who she was. And to be honest, I don't really keep up with stuff. I used to watch Wendy Williams keep up with gossip, but she ain't been inactive for like years. She's been inactive for years. But as far as Michelle Obama, she is not that chick. She's always been a buck 50, even
Yes,
as the first lady. She's
I
like,
agree.
this was not my first choice. I am
Got
not
you.
a public person, but she did it for Barack. And she always said that. She did all the things for Barack. Now,
Hmm.
after he left office, she wrote a book. She did speaking
She did some
engagements.
things for
She did the
herself, and
thing.
she's entitled to
She,
that.
yes,
Yes, she
she
should. I ain't
rode
mad at
the
it.
wave. But everything she said, there's nothing new that she has said. And not once has she ever disrespected her husband or her marriage. Even if she's in the midst of it, and I still think they're in the middle of a divorce, she has not disrespected him or their marriage. She's been transparent about how difficult it has been to be in the White House and to be in such a public persona. She has
Got you.
always done that. This is nothing new because to be honest, I've never seen the podcast. I don't know anything about it. I know she's got a podcast with her brother. That's about it. I don't know the content of it, but the stuff you're saying, this is not new to me because I've followed Michelle Obama throughout the years. So, no, this is nothing new. This is nothing new.
Yeah,
And
like I don't know why people are making it such a big deal.
well,
Well,
and
you
even
gotta
the
watch.
inauguration thing, exactly. Not just Google, like, hey, how many, ex presidents' wives or first ladies attended the inauguration of their predecessors? There's no record of it because no one paid attention to it. There is undue attention paid to it, right?
I
No
don't
one,
think it was paid. I don't think it was paid attention. I don't think it was because she's black. I think what happened is that
everything because you're black.
the other president, the, the other presidents came and their wives were there, or Neither one of them was there. So the thing is that
But the thing is, no one paid attention to first ladies. Is what I'm telling you. So they don't even know. They don't because no one was clocking the first lady. I'm telling you, before Nancy Reagan, one nobody, and Nancy Reagan did the little cute, just say no to drugs thing. And ever since then, every first lady had their little spiel that they did. No one clocked it.
what I'm
No one
saying to
was
you is
paying
that you
attention.
won't find
So
you
we
won't
don't know.
the footage is
It's
out
not
there.
recorded.
You probably won't find a president that walks solo the way Barack Obama did. I think it was
Because they
embarrassing.
probably
Can you
didn't
find the
record
foot?
it.
Can you find? Show me the footage of all the first lady, all the presidents. Let's go back from 1940 to 1980. Show me. No one was clocking. No one cared
What you
because the
mean they
thing
weren't
is,
clocking?
although no one cared about black women, no one really cared about women. Period.
Jacqueline
First
Kennedy?
lady, who cares?
Jacqueline Kennedy? People didn't pay attention to Jacqueline Kennedy?
They pay attention to her. But guess what? You want to talk about grooming? You want to talk about grooming?
I ain't
Jacqueline
talking about
Kennedy
I'm not talking
Onassis was
about
groomed.
grooming.
But let me tell you about Jackie. Let me tell you about Jackie O, because she was groomed, baby, to be JFK's wife. So much
What
so that she was taught how to speak with a whisper in the wind. Okay,
but
she
what
just
that
won't
got to
her
do with
face.
anything though?
What it has to do with, she was an icon because she had a fashion and she spoke a certain way and she was groomed. She was prepared for that lifestyle. But
Hmm.
here's why
She
people
wanted that
even know who
lifestyle.
she is, because she held her husband's skull when his head was blown the fuck off. Okay?
Right.
Because JFK, he was a philandering, cheating whore too, right?
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
after Jackie O, who was the next first lady? I don't know either. What did she do?
It was
Did she
Ford
go
and
to
then
the
Nixon.
inauguration? I don't know.
Wait, huh?
Well, we knew about Betty Ford.
I
Betty
said
Ford
after
was
Jackie
right
O,
there.
who was her predecessor? Who was the next first lady? Did she attend the next 2 to 3 inaugurations?
Right.
We don't
Nobody
know
kept
because
track of
Here's the
that.
thing. Here's the
there are
thing.
select first ladies we remember.
Here's
Jackie
the
O's
thing.
remembered because her husband died in
What
office and she
what
literally
I'm
held his
saying,
skull.
what I'm saying to you, well, here's the thing. What I'm saying to you is that it's not just the first lady. The question is, do you ever see a president going to the inauguration dolo? That's what I'm saying. And
What
But
I'm
we
saying is we
didn't.
don't
But
know
how
because no one paid attention.
exactly?
No one paid
I
no,
attention
don't
to
think
the
you can
first.
fully answer that
So
accurately
I
let's
think
because
go.
that
they
that's a
weren't
So
keeping
I
track of
think
that.
that's convenient to say that, but I don't think that's the truth because
and
you can
show
go
me the
back and watch
data.
the footage.
Show me. You show me the footage. What I'm
Listen.
saying is that people didn't pay
I
attention to these
searched.
ladies.
I went.
Okay,
I
so you mean to tell me you went back and you watched every inauguration and you kept track of every previous president and first lady that walked in?
No, what I'm saying is that I couldn't.
Exactly.
No, listen to what I'm saying though. That's I like your question.
You
What I'm
couldn't
saying
find
is
any
that
footage
listen
of
to
the
the answer.
news
Listen to the
reporting.
answer. What I said is that I can't find a president who was walking by himself. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking
That
about
doesn't
whether the
mean
first lady attended. It's not it's the question is whether the first lady attended without her husband, then
So
I
maybe
get it.
Malia or Sasha should have attended so that the president's not walking by himself.
No,
But the key
his
is,
wife should have been there.
but what I'm saying is that no one pays attention to the wives. And the thing is, the most important couple when that inauguration is happening is the exiting president. So show me footage where so much attention was focused on not the preceding president, but two presidents ahead of the next one. Show me some footage where that's a huge focus.
right.
Because guess what? That woman may or may not have been there, but we don't know because there was no focus. Our point is that there was no focus on it. Not that she
Exactly.
was or was not
And
there.
you I
We
and I
don't know.
highly doubt that there was they had a full coverage of every single one that walked up in there.
You said
So
you
I wonder why there was so much focus on Michelle Obama. Oh,
well
I
you said
wonder why there was so much
wait a minute.
focus.
Are you saying you said there's you said that say that one more time, twin. Say again.
I said I doubt that there's a footage where they're showing every single former president that
See,
walked in and their
one.
wife.
Oh, because the Clintons was how many years ago? Like they're what we're
Yeah,
saying is
so there
that
you go.
they're
Why would
setting the stage right?
Second stage
They
for
are
what?
showcasing, they're preparing to highlight that Barack is coming down by himself. What we're saying is that this is all purposeful and it's all
What?
made to put extra attention on the fact
Are
that
you
Michelle was
serious
not
right now?
there. I am very serious
Are
because
you
I'm
serious?
saying,
What country do you live
yes,
in
show me
that they
Wait a
don't
footage.
minute.
purposely
Wait a
do
minute.
stuff
Wait a minute. Wait a
to
minute.
be
Let
divisive
hold on.
towards black
This is
people of
interesting
power?
because this is the first time I'm hearing this now. So now you're saying that so they went and got the last three and most important presidents of the last like 20 years. So we had
Just the
Bill
last three.
Bill and Hillary, George Bush and Barbara, right? And Barack and Michelle. So we're going all the way back from the year
You mean George
2000 to
Bush and Laura? Barbara's his mama.
excuse me, I'm sorry, George and
Laura.
Laura, my bad. So we're going from 2020 to 25. So we got the presidents of the last 25 years, right? So, obviously
If you're
Trump is
doing
coming.
Hillary and Bill, that's beyond
Excuse me, you're
2020.
you're abs you're absolutely
From
right. My bad. So
2000.
we're going back to 92 up all the way up. So that's the thing. Like Bill, they're going all the way back to the 90s with Bill. You know what I'm saying? And I can understand the argument to say, hey, Hillary was part of the political landscape, and obviously she was Secretary of State and so on. But I get it. So I'm not attacking Michelle because I love Michelle. I respect Michelle, and I think she handled being First Lady with grace. Um, Again, I just think that at the end of the day, the reason why all that speculation, the reason why people made the speculation because it was odd. It was very odd for Barack to walk out solo. It was not it's not the norm. That's what I'm saying. I know you guys are saying that, oh, they weren't
Back,
paying attention in the past, but it's odd.
I don't remember very many inaugurations, but let me think back to when Barack Obama was inaugurated because I was at work. So we are at school and we
Mm,
got to watch it, right?
mhm.
I don't remember seeing a whole parade of presidents, right? I remember the Bushes, right? Because they walked them out, they're the preceding president and first lady. I
Mhm.
don't remember, Bush's daddy and Ronald Reagan. I don't remember all of them coming out. I don't remember like all that attention being focused on them.
You may not remember it, but what I will tell you. I guarantee you won't see Ronald Reagan walking out by himself. I can guarantee you that.
But
And
I
you
So
guarantee you,
what
I
though?
won't even see footage of Ronald Reagan walking out. Right? It wasn't shown. It
I
wasn't
wouldn't
showcased.
bet
It
on
was
that.
not.
I wouldn't bet on that.
See
I
how they
would bet
Margie?
I would bet if I
Margie
went
says,
back and found foot I would bet
I'm
if I went back
down
and
for
found
that.
footage and Ronald Reagan was there when Bush was elected, Bush 2, I
I'm
guarantee
talking about
you
when Barack was
excuse me,
elected.
I'm sorry, when Barack was in there, I guarantee you if they were there and they were walking like that, their wife would have been next to them.
I really don't recall. No,
Huh?
I don't think I don't
look,
I just
like,
don't think
and I
he's
mean, and I'm just talking about
connected too
Barack's
much
because
with
that's
it.
the inauguration I remember. But if we
Mm,
go back, like run that, I
mhm.
really just think there is a lot of attention put on this one, right? And we're feeding the gossip. We're feeding who she's not here for the. We're feeding into something when in actuality, in previous history, women had such a just first ladies has such a low amount of importance to the whole scheme of things. I guarantee you, nobody was even clocking for if Ford's wife came, if Carter's wife. Wasn't nobody clocking that. They weren't. No one cared. No one knew who these women
I
were.
think I think
They
that
didn't know who these women were.
I think that that's not all the way true, but I think that it may be true in
You
some
think women
cases.
cared besides Jackie O? Besides Jackie O and Nancy Reagan, what notable first ladies from history do we know about?
Well, we know about Hillary Clinton, Jimmy
Go
Carter's
back.
wife, huh?
Go back beyond our like 90s and 2000s. Go back beyond Nancy Reagan.
Beyond
And if
that.
you
Betty
know who,
Ford
if
and
they're
Reagan.
notable, give me their name besides Jackie O.
Okay, so are you trying to say that because their profile wasn't there that it wouldn't have mattered if they were there? And
Saying that
that's
no
not what
one
I'm
cared about them. What I'm saying is that First Lady, not really a big. It was not until we make it. a big deal, something to notice, something to note if they're present or not present. And what I'm saying is with the Obamas, it is definitely everything she did was notable because she's the first one. She's black and she stands out. She's noticeable. Oh, she showed her arms. Why is she doing that? Oh my gosh! Like, what is that all about? Oh, that's too risque. Even
This is
though Melania's coochie's all over the world,
right, but it still doesn't.
there were a lot of first ladies between all
I
those.
like the argument, but it's still, it's slightly out of context of what I'm saying, so it doesn't really mean a lot.
It's
Like I
not.
feel
You
you.
just ain't fitting it. You ain't
Nah, I'm
connecting it.
saying
But
that.
it
Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's relevant. It's relevant. But I'm saying is this. My thing is that
should have been there
I'm
for her
make,
black man.
I'm making the assertion she should have been walking with her husband. That's what I'm saying, regardless to her profile.
But that doesn't hurt the legacy. I don't think that that changes the legacy at
And we're
all.
telling you, if she wasn't there,
And
there was a
that's
damn
my
good
position on
reason.
that.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
my position.
y'all ain't budging on that, but I do like the argument. So all right,
No.
so cool. All right, so that's the consensus of the
But we
sisterhood
love you
that
though.
we got. Yeah, I know. Y'all love the brothers, but y'all gotta do the sisterhood what y'all feel like is best. I ain't mad at that. There's a space for that. I think everybody, but I think that here's the thing. Here's my thing. I feel like this is what the consensus has become of women now. So I feel like is it always a thing where I feel like every woman has the same sentiment that I'm doing so it's so hard being a woman and I'm doing so much relative to what struggle is. I think Michelle Obama made it to the highest echelon of what you would want to do. And that's just my opinion, right? I'm not saying that
Mhm.
she has to feel that way, but I'm saying that she made it to the highest echelon of what you could do as a black woman in America. What more, how higher could you get as a black woman in America than being the first lady in history? How higher
Being
could you
the
get?
Okay,
president.
so
Well,
what?
you're
So
right.
everything was
You're
supposed
right.
to
I
be
got you.
sunshine and
That's
roses.
fair. I got you. I got you. I like that. That's true.
But here's what we
Besides
don't
being
live in our
president.
struggle. When we tell like when I tell my daughter about the struggle, it's not about oh woe is me. It's about no, recognize that shit and step over it. Because the thing is, my child as a professional, first year teacher at 23, almost 24 years old, she's able to recognize there she go right there. But she's able to recognize when there's bullshit and she's able to
Sure.
G up and be
Know how
ready
to handle
to
it
counter
appropriately.
that. So we
Sure.
don't use that
Hmm.
as an excuse. So when a black woman bows down and say, you know what? No, I can't do that. You best believe this is something like super duper. Oh my God, we need to bow out because here's what that legacy of the strong black woman, that's some bullshit, right? That's an excuse for us to keep abusing ourselves and encountering things that we should not for the sake of saying we are strong black women. And for me, and I know for me personally, I am in my soft girl era. I am enveloping and embracing all things soft because I've proved it. I have walked through the fire. I have proved all the things. I've done all the schooling. I've got all the education. I've lived the life, experienced the things, and now I'm giving myself, like Michelle is doing, I'm giving myself that pass to say, you know what, it's okay to say no, thank you. So when you think it's
It's
not about
always
us saying
okay to
that it's
say
such a
no thank you.
struggle, but it's about saying, you know what, we've done enough. And sometimes, and I say no, thank you. That don't mean I'm done. I'm stopped. I'm checked out. That means, you know what, for a second, I'm going to take a breather and regroup so I can go back and do the business at hand. So we're never just stopping. We don't have that convenience of just stopping and saying, no, we're done. We're just saying, you know, can I get 5 minutes? Five
Well, here's the
minutes.
thing. I appreciate that, but why I feel like okay, we got to make sure we don't overdo that point is because life is what you make it, right? Some struggles are self-inflicted, self-written, self manifested by yourself. So this strong black woman thing isn't even anything that men put on women. Black women put that on themselves. That y'all
History put that on us. When they took our
sure,
children from us, when they
sure.
took our men and bucked them out at different
I agree.
plantations, and we
I
had to
agree.
carry on. So
I
no, but
agree.
it's part of our culture as Americans. So even as
Yes.
Black Americans, which I mean, we trying to undo things that were taught to us through hundreds of years of legacy. So it's not about people putting that on us. Well, it is, but it's from so many generations. There's so many things we do, or so many things that we see and perceive. And maybe for you two being literally African Americans, I cannot take for granted that your experience and perceptions are the same as mine, being an American born African American. So it's still two different things to an extent, right? But there are things that we have wired in us and ingrained in us from so many generations above. So, yes, because on plantations and in slavery, Black women, we were breeding people. We were breastfeeding children that were not ours.
Right.
We were having medical experiments done to our bodies. And people said, oh, well, they're strong because they're doing all this. And then they're going out in the fields and they're doing, we had to. It was life or death.
No,
So,
I'm not.
but there's still that perception that we are stronger than the typical person. It's like, well, no. But Black women, we adapted to that. We enveloped that. We embraced things. Oh, we're strong. I'm a strong Black woman. I don't need no man. My baby don't need no daddy. No, they need all the things. I need this, that, and that. I would
So
love to have all that.
I'm with that. I don't disagree with nothing you're saying. But what I'm saying is that as we go further on, it's like a self manifested story. So that's why I'm saying where you look at a Michelle Obama, I'm not saying that I'm not, it's not so much personally against her, but relative to what where you could get in America, it's 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 there. So I'm like, okay, well, what is being okay? You know what I'm saying? Like relative. What is being okay?
Mhm.
So if if a young girl listens to that and says, well, this is all the shit this shit did to me, and you get these inferences that you're not quite, it's damaging to your relationship. You get these inferences. These aren't direct
Okay.
things that she's saying, but I'm like, if you're a young girl, we say, well, look up to this woman. This is someone you look up to. So now when I say, okay, if my daughter, I can't tell my daughter, I can't implant. Yes, I understand what happened in history. Colonial colonization happened all over the
Yeah.
world. And you know what I'm saying? In America, in Africa, South America, everywhere. Still happening. But my point is that when I said to my daughter, I said, well, cool. So what do people get, not subjectively, but subliminally? What do you get subliminally from seeing, okay, he walking alone? Even them two, she not standing with him. Oh, this is what happened in the White House, how much I was subjected to. It creates a narrative that, yeah, she went through all this shit. For her personal life, it's not right or it's not
I
wrong
think it's
because who,
perspective.
right. So exactly. That's what I'm saying. So who am I I'm not talking about her personally. Who am I to say that her experience isn't real? But I'm
From
saying
my
that,
perspective, I was like, wow, right? It takes a brave woman to let her, because it's going to always be a reflection. When I was with Morgan's dad and going through issues, and his mother, my mom passed away when we were in high school, but his mother was like, anything that happens with that child is a reflection of you as the mother, right? And that happens the same thing as a wife. So I saw that, and everybody in the world is gonna think, "Ooh, where Michelle at?" And it's something that's falling on her, right? So when I saw that, my first inclination was like, "Oh, he's walking out by himself," and I felt bad for him. But my second inclination was like, "Shit, that's deep." She took a stand, and it wasn't just, "Oh, I'm taking a stand," my, because white women have, oh, women's rights. That's the white woman convenience. No, for Michelle to let that black, and knowing what that would mean, because I'm with you, Osu, knowing what that would mean worldwide, to have that black man, the only black president, walk down that hall
now
by
you feel
himself.
me. Now
No,
you
I've
feel me.
always felt you. I've always felt you, but I felt her too.
I
And
got
I'm
you, but
telling,
stay
but
there.
what I'm telling you is that the
Hmm.
fact that she did that, that tells you the extent of her struggles and how important it was for her to say, no, thank you. It was not just, Oh, that motherfucker Trump. Because
Or
you're right. And it wasn't really about Trump, right? It could be a Michelle and Barack dynamic, but it could really just be she is in something and she had
And it's
to.
something that she's going through,
It
and
I
was
that's
got
she
you.
doesn't speak
crucial
for
because
all.
You're
that's a
you're
big deal.
you're
And it's
not
easy.
wrong.
It would have been easier. But look, it would have been
Mm-hmm.
easier for her to just
Mm-hmm.
take the and walk down. That would
Let's
have been so
go.
much
Right.
easier. So the fact that she didn't do that, it tells you there's something happening here.
Right. So I got you, and you're right. So at that standpoint, that's what I'm saying, and that's really the crux of this conversation. Yes, we could do two roads on that conversation. We could say, you know what? Obviously, as a black woman, she went through this, not discounting that. Or it could be that, you know what? I'm not really built for this. I'm not really built to stand by him and supersede whatever's going on with me personally to represent. Because again, you made a great point. When Barack is walking, as small as y'all think that is, everybody around the world was inspired by Barack Obama. When he's walking his ass out there solo by himself, yes, it was just the inauguration. I get it. But it symbolically meant a lot. The same way his inauguration when he was and granted in, crowned in, whatever you want to call it. I'm using the wrong word, but you know what I mean. In 2008, when he was sworn in, there you go. It's the same thing when he was sworn in. Physically, when he's walking, it's just as important, right? Maybe not just as important. Let me not say that because his
Just
inauguration was more important than Trump's.
that's
But
notable.
imagery does matter, and that's all
Yeah.
I'm saying is that I'm not saying she's doesn't have a right to do what she want to do, but imagery matter because people are watching, kids are watching, people who looked
I
up to
think it
him
mattered in the moment, right? It
in the moment,
absolutely mattered in the
in the
moment.
moment. But
Afterwards, it don't matter. It don't matter
yeah,
anything
but
about it
I
no
think
more.
yes,
I
but
think in the
listen,
grand scheme of things, we still have to frame it appropriately. And yeah, it wasn't the greatest look in the world for him to be walking alone. However, when we think about what we're going to tell our children and how we're going to protect the legacy of the first black family in the White House, I think we all have a responsibility. If for those of us who supported him and
Yeah.
still, um, and still support them, then we all have a responsibility to tell our kids, you know what? Sometimes shit is hard,
But that's not even going
and
to become one of the
some,
moments, right? In the
I really
moment,
don't. I
it
don't
was
even think
something
so. I
notable,
really don't think
but
so.
no one's going to ever
I
talk
think
about that ever.
there's so much
It's nothing.
good that we can reflect on that can just be go under the wayside. I don't think any kid's gonna
Yeah.
be like, mommy, um, I noticed that Michelle didn't come to the inauguration. No, they're
Yeah.
no,
not
you
gonna be
gotta
looking at that. They'll
understand.
be
You gotta
looking at
understand though.
all the years of
It's not
wonderful stuff that
lasting.
they did.
It's
And this
not.
quick news cycle is not going to be lasting.
This Here's the thing. I understand that to a certain point. That may be true, but what happens that's burned in people's memory
That ain't
isn't
going to
isn't
be.
them isn't them walking hand in hand. What happens eventually in people's memory is that they say some, not all, but some will say, okay, you know what? The net result is that you know what, regardless to what they did, you got to do what's best for you. Now, if you end in here's my thing, and the reason why overall my stance on is if they end in divorce, then this whole conversation was for nothing. But you know what I'm saying? But I hope not either. But if they're together, if you're together, my thing is that if we're together, regardless to what's going on between me and you, I'm holding you down. Visually, I'm holding you down. I'm not even gonna all this shit. And again, even though it's just a news cycle, and because people talked about it 3 months ago at the inauguration, and then the reason why this whole conversation came back up, why? She went on her podcast and talked about it again. That's what I'm saying. So it's not that it was a quick news cycle. This happened 3 months ago. They talked about it. People forgot about it. They weren't talking about it, but they were wondering why she didn't show up because all those rumors was
And
out
she
there.
suffered mental health. But you know what? The image of Michelle and Barack, and I'm not one to glamorize anyone's marriage because I think it could be anything.
Yeah,
I've seen the acts, but the
yeah,
one thing I don't even know what it was for, but I just remember her giving him dap,
yeah.
and that's what I will always hold on to that because she's just like, dude, I got you. Boom. And that was why he was on the campaign trail, whatever. And if they end in divorce, it don't matter. I will always hold on to the dad
For
because she
you.
held him down during that. For
Yes.
me, now for people have different things, but the
People gonna
thing is,
say what
if
they
he
want
was
to say and think
never,
what they want
and
to think
here's
about
what I
anyway.
had a boyfriend during that time, and he told me he had gone through a divorce. And he's like, oh yeah, me and my wife seemed like that too when we was married and we was going. So, and I was like, oh, you gotta go. I know you're not talking about Michelle and Barack Obama. This was back then, but it was like
He
it
was
was a
doubt he was
downer
doubting them.
because what was that?
He was doubting them.
He was downing the whole thing. He was like hating on Barack Obama. I'm like, you know what the thing is, this he represents something for our children because for us growing up, we always heard they will never let a black man be president. So and he has two sons. So I'm like, I can't understand why you are not floating on this moment in history, regardless of what his marriage really is or any of
Mhm.
that. This man made it, right? So all of our kids tonight, they don't have that barrier of, oh, they will not let us be president because all they know is, oh, we had a black president. So our kids don't even have that sense of, oh, we can't be. They have a sense of, oh, it's happened before. Okay, whatever.
Right.
There's nothing holding them back. But he did hate on their, oh yeah, and I mean they're humans, who knows. He didn't have any scandals. I actually know people who are in law enforcement and would be over Air Force One. He's like, no, he never had no bitches coming on,
Inauguration.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like he was
Mhm.
pretty legit clean, right?
Yeah.
But that don't speak to his temperament and attitude. Who knows, right?
Right.
There are people. What I can say is that I respect what he did for my child, for my students, coming
Hmm.
behind him and seeing him in that office. I respect that. Anytime Michelle opens her mouth, I was like, yes, sister. So I
Right.
hold on to that. And that's all part of the Obama legacy. The
Right.
Obama legacy is
Always.
not about them being husband and wife. It's about these
Hmm.
two powerful, intelligent black people moving
Hmm.
up and breaking those
Hmm.
glass ceilings. So if they end
Hmm.
up being divorced,
It'll
and
be
I
very
gotta say, me
sad.
personally,
That's not
I,
gonna look
I
good.
don't know. I don't care because they already did what they're supposed to do. They broadened our horizons and made that goalpost even higher for our kids. So
I know what
whatever.
you're saying. I'm with you on that, but and I understand we're old enough to cement what we need to cement in our brains. But for younger people, unfortunately, I have to say it won't roll like
Younger
that.
people looking at Papoose and Remy Ma, or maybe I'm even old for that. The people that these younger kids is looking at, we don't even know because we too old. They ain't
Nah,
clocking the
no,
Shellerman Rock. They not.
well, here's the thing.
They
Yeah,
calling
yeah,
them.
They're
They
not.
calling
They're
both
talking
my
about
yeah,
chicken
nephews.
jockeys.
yeah. I got you,
And
but
we don't know what that is.
but you gotta remember.
Right.
I don't know about no damn chicken jockey. I don't know what the hell you talking
That's
about.
see, cause you
But
too
but
old.
you
That's
but
what
you
I'm
gotta
saying. So
understand.
them young kids ain't
But
clocking
keep in
Michelle Barack.
mind, keep in
That's for
mind, keep it
us.
keep in mind, they got legacy. They will be part of history. Listen, I agree with you. They ain't gotta be. They human beings. If they get divorced, they did get divorced. It's all good.
Go
I
to
think
their
we
own
I
thing.
think we see each other's perspectives a little bit, right? A little bit.
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
For
We
sure.
see each other. We
Mhm.
got differences, but nothing's too outlandish. Work. It's like because I know I saw it.
Yeah.
Oh dang!
Hmm.
Oh, Barack is by himself.
It
Oh,
made you feel a little way. Yeah. It kind
just
of.
a little way. I
It
I
felt
don't
a
did.
like
little
watching
way.
I
that
mean, it's
footage.
a
It
little
kind
like
it kind of hurts
oh,
me a little bit when I watch
I
those
ain't that
yeah.
footage.
hurt. Michelle, if you watching, girl, I'm 10 toes down because I already understand why. And I know it was a big deal to say no. It is though. And that's beyond it's just something. When we have to say no and dang, I should say yes. Because you should have said yes, right? That's what everybody would expect it. That would have made everything feel right in the world. He would have looked good. It would have looked like this. But she said no. And when everything is saying you should say yes and you say no, you have to take note of that and wonder why. Is it because they're divorcing or is it because she needed a mental health break? Whichever one it is, sis, you good. You're good.
Stand
And she
by
needs to
your
hear that.
man.
Yes. No doubt.
All right, y'all. We out of here.
My
Appreciate
brother, my
y'all.
sister, I love y'all.
Love y'all.
I will see y'all later.
Love you
All
guys.
right. We
Bye.
holla.
Peace.